Patrick Star is SpongeBob's lovable sidekick. But what if he's more trouble than he's worth? From broken laws to broken homes, Patrick's chaos isn't just harmless fun, it's a town-wide headache. And by the end of this video, you'll see why Bikini Bottom might secretly hate him more than anyone else. Part 1. Patrick's reputation problem. At first glance, Patrick Star seems harmless. He's slow, cheerful, and mostly keeps to himself under that rock of his. But if you live in Bikini Bottom long enough, you start to realize something. Patrick isn't just a lovable idiot, he's a walking disaster. Time and time again, Patrick inserts himself into situations he doesn't understand, makes them worse for everyone around him, and then walks away like nothing happened. And the worst part? Nobody ever holds him accountable. Take the episode Big Pink Loser. Patrick becomes obsessed with copying SpongeBob in hopes of winning an award. Sounds innocent, even sweet. But in his attempts to help, he nearly burns down the Krusty Krab, destroys the supply room, and proves he can't even walk in a straight line without causing damage. What starts as a harmless plan turns into a 1-star Yelp review waiting to happen. But what really stings is that SpongeBob still encourages him, and that's the heart of the issue. SpongeBob's blind loyalty gives Patrick a free pass for behavior that anyone else in town would be called out for. So while Patrick stumbles through life in blissful ignorance, the rest of Bikini Bottom is left dealing with the fallout. Look at I Had an Accident. SpongeBob becomes terrified of the outside world, and Patrick, along with Sandy, creates a fake outdoor setting to help him recover. It almost works, until Patrick punches a gorilla in the face. Yes, a gorilla. What follows is a full-scale panic as the gorilla terrorizes everyone. The entire plan collapses into chaos because Patrick couldn't follow one simple rule: don't mess it up. This kind of pattern shows up constantly. Patrick wants something. Patrick tries to help. Patrick ruins everything, and instead of apologizing, he stares blankly and says something completely unrelated, like, "I can't see my forehead." The citizens of Bikini Bottom are used to being weird, but Patrick isn't just weird, he's dangerous in the way only someone totally unaware of their impact can be. They're not frustrated because he's dumb, they're frustrated because he never learns, he never improves, and no matter how many times he causes problems, it's always someone else left to clean up the mess. So while SpongeBob sees a best friend, Bikini Bottom sees something else entirely. A storm wrapped in a starfish. And the longer he sticks around, the more tired the town gets of pretending it's fine. But before we uncover the real truth behind Bikini Bottom's hatred against Patrick, you should subscribe to the channel because there is about 97% of you who didn't subscribe yet. Part 2. The chaos Patrick leaves behind. Patrick isn't evil. He's not scheming or calculating, but that's what makes it worse. He doesn't have to try to cause chaos. It just follows him. In Bikini Bottom, most characters have jobs, roles, some kind of structure. Mr. Krabs runs a business, Sandy invents, Squidward complains and plays his clarinet. But Patrick, he contributes nothing. No job, no responsibilities, just a full-time agent of distraction. And that would be fine if he stayed in his lane. But Patrick doesn't stay anywhere for long. In No Nose Nose, Patrick decides he wants a nose. Sounds harmless, right? But after he gets one, he becomes obsessed with smells. He starts insulting everyone in town for how they stink. He doesn't just quietly react. He goes on a full crusade to clean up Bikini Bottom, driving everyone crazy with his unsolicited judgments. The townspeople literally beg him to stop, but does he? And it's not just emotional chaos. Patrick gets physical. In Stuck in the Ringer, SpongeBob gets literally stuck in a ringer and asks Patrick for help. Patrick responds by forcing him to live life like everything's normal, dragging him around town in pain, pretending nothing's wrong. Instead of fixing the problem, Patrick gaslights SpongeBob into thinking this is just how things are now. And the worst part? He's genuinely trying to help. That's what makes him so hard to deal with. His intentions and his results never match. But one of the strongest examples of Patrick becoming a town-wide menace is in Patrick Smartpants. For one brief moment, Patrick becomes intelligent. He uses full sentences, studies marine biology, even corrects SpongeBob on facts. And you know what happens? He stops being a problem. For a while, he's actually a functioning member of society. But when he goes back to his old self, it's like Bikini Bottom lets out a collective sigh of defeat. It's not about Patrick being dumb, it's about what he does with that dumbness. He wanders into other people's lives, makes things harder, and then disappears like nothing ever happened. No growth, no change, no responsibility. Even Plankton, who's supposed to be the town villain, has a plan. Patrick, he doesn't even know what day it is. So when people roll their eyes at him, when they avoid him, when they mutter under their breath, the moment he walks into a room, it's not because they're mean, it's because they're tired. Tired of the noise. Tired of the chaos. Tired of pretending that he means well is enough to excuse the stress he leaves behind. In a town that thrives on weird, Patrick isn't just weird, he's unpredictable, untethered, and unfixable. And for Bikini Bottom, that makes him more exhausting than almost anyone else. Part 3. When Patrick crosses the line. It's easy to laugh off Patrick's behaviour as harmless stupidity. He's SpongeBob's lovable best friend, the comic relief, the dummy with a good heart. But there are moments in the show where that line between clueless and cruel gets blurry. And Bikini Bottom remembers those moments. In The Card, Patrick becomes obsessed with protecting a trading card that SpongeBob cherishes. But instead of being helpful, he treats SpongeBob like a child, refusing to let him even touch the card he spent all day looking for. Patrick holds it over his head, literally and figuratively, believing he's doing the right thing while completely ignoring what SpongeBob actually wants. And when the card eventually gets ruined, Patrick shrugs it off like it's no big deal. It's a small moment, but it shows how often Patrick takes control under the excuse of helping, when really he's just being selfish. In I'm with Stupid, Patrick takes things a step further. He invites his parents over and pretends that SpongeBob is the dumb one, just so he can look smart by comparison. Think about that. SpongeBob, his best friend, supports him every day. And Patrick throws him under the bus without a second thought. And when SpongeBob finally has enough and reveals the truth, Patrick still acts like the victim. And then there's Yours, Mine and Mine, where SpongeBob buys a toy for both of them, but Patrick refuses to share it. He hogs the toy, breaks it, and blames SpongeBob for ruining the fun. No lesson, no remorse. Just more selfishness disguised as cluelessness. The problem is, Patrick never really pays for any of it. He walks away from each episode with a goofy smile and zero consequences, while everyone around him, especially SpongeBob, is left picking up the pieces. And Bikini Bottom notices. Patrick might be seen as harmless, but when you look at his track record, he's a repeat offender of emotional damage. Not because he wants to hurt anyone, but because he never thinks about how his actions affect others. That's the part that stings. Not the destruction, but the complete lack of accountability. So when the town seems cold toward Patrick, when they roll their eyes or avoid getting involved with whatever he's up to, it's not personal, it's survival. Because one minute he's licking a rock, the next he's throwing the entire town into chaos because he thought the sun stole his ice cream. At some point, even the most patient community gets tired of pretending that one person's chaos is everyone else's responsibility. Final thoughts. Why Bikini Bottom hates Patrick. Patrick isn't hated because he's dumb. He's hated because he never learns. He causes mess after mess, hurts people, drags them into nonsense, and then shrugs it off like none of it mattered. And that kind of energy, over time, wears people down. He's the friend who shows up uninvited, eats all your snacks, breaks your furniture, and then leaves without saying thank you. And you still feel guilty for not wanting him around. So maybe the real reason Bikini Bottom hates Patrick is simple. They're exhausted, not because he's a monster, but because he never tries to be better. He never grows. He just floats through life, pulling everyone into the whirlpool of his bad decisions. And in a town already filled with chaos, that kind of thoughtless energy isn't quirky. It's dangerous. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into Bikini Bottom's biggest mysteries.